Hi Trumpets! Thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you are well and healthy and playing and enjoying your instrument, and I hope this video helps to do that too. We're going to cover a couple of parts in the book today, but if it's been a while since you played, what I want to do is create another video for you, and I'll link it in the description below that talks about how we're putting our instrument together, how to create an embouchure to do the very first couple of notes on the instrument, and how to hold it correctly, all the basics to get us going. But if you're good on that, we're going to continue right here on page 5 in your book. I want to make sure you have a couple of things. You got to get your music stand, you got to have your instrument, have a nice sturdy chair to sit in, and don't forget your all-important number 2 machine scoring pencil. When we play, we want to make sure that the instrument, the music stand is raised high enough so that we are looking directly ahead at the music. We don't want to be pointing our head down to look at the music or up to look at the music, because that's going to affect the way that we are angling our head, which affects the way that the air is going to flow, and that's going to impact ultimately how the instrument sounds. So we want to be able to point that instrument straight ahead and see the music straight ahead of us. We're going to keep our feet flat on the floor. We're going to scooch forward in the chair so that we're hanging off the very edge, but that way our back is far enough away from the back of the chair so that when we take our great big breaths, we can expand in every direction and not have a hard surface that we're trying to press against. That's going to inhibit our breathing. And this is a wind instrument. It lives on air, and so we got to give it all the air that we can. So if we are good on all that and you've gotten all your materials together and you're ready to play along with me, go ahead and open up your book to page 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to review some of our very first notes that we've ever played. And you may ask, why are we going back? Because we've done a whole lot further in the book than the very beginning, but it's important to come back to the beginning because that's where we find the fundamentals. And that's what makes the best professional musicians fantastic, because they've mastered the fundamentals, the long tones, the breathing exercises, the handling of the instrument, the using the tongue, producing a good strong tone, remembering to count, remembering to create the correct embouchure, all these basic fundamentals that are important to playing. And if you haven't played in a while, or even if you have, it's never a bad idea to come back and review these. So that's why we're going to do the first 11 exercises in the book together, no matter how far you've gotten in the book, because these are the fundamentals and these are essential to master. So here we are, our very first note on number 2, page 5 in the book. In number 2, our first note is E, and we know when we play E on the trumpet, we want to use our first finger on the first valve and second finger on the second valve. And if you remember, if you watched us in the previous video, you'll remember that when we hold the trumpet, it's important to remember a couple things. On our right hand, our right thumb lives in the crack between the first 2 valves, and our right pinky is up on top of the pinky ring. Don't let it be lazy and to sneak into that little alcove there. Keep it up on top. With our left hand goes into the first valve slide ring here. That's where our thumb goes. And then the middle finger of our left hand goes into the third valve slide ring, and the rest of the fingers curl around naturally. Okay? When we play, we want to keep our instrument pointed straight ahead, not down at the ground. There's nothing down there that wants to hear us play. We want to point our instrument in the direction we want the sound to go, which is straight ahead. Our pinky up on top of the pinky ring, first finger in between the first 2 valves, first valve and second valve down, and we're going to play our E, our very first note. So let's play it together. Remember, take a great big musician's breath, play it for 4 beats. Count those 4 beats in your head and then rest for 4. We're going to do it 3 times. 1, 2, ready. How'd you do? Did you carry those notes all the way through for their full 4 beats? If you'd had trouble, it's really easy to fix. The first thing you have to do is make sure you're taking in enough air at the front end of the note. Breathe deeply all the way down. This is a wind instrument. It survives on air. If we don't give it enough air, it's not going to sustain the note all the way through. So make sure you're taking in enough air. Also, make sure you're not wasting any air when you start the note. And to do that, you've got to start with a two tonguing. The tongue starts behind the top teeth, and it starts the air by pulling off those teeth, and you get the nice clean beginning to every note. If you want to review that, go back to the last video and we'll talk about embouchure and tonguing on how to produce those notes. And don't forget, you want to count the notes in your head to make sure that you're holding for the full 4 beats. Let's do a new note. Let's take our second note, which is number 3 on page 5. The new note is D, and on a trumpet, to play the D, we push our first valve down and our third valve down, and that's going to produce our D tone. Let's sit up straight and tall, feet flat on the floor, scooch forward in the chair, instrument straight ahead, not pointed down to the ground, and let's play our second note, number 3 on page 5, starting on the D. Ready, play. Ready, and again. Breathe deep. Now that we've got those 2 notes, our E and our D, we're going to flip-flop between those 2. So these 2 fingers are going to get a little bit of a workout. Remember, there's 4 beats in between every note. Count those whole rests so that you can do a couple things. You want to make sure you're starting your note in time with me, so count the 4 beats. But in those 4 beats, 2 things need to happen. Make sure you're breathing deeply to start the next note, and then also you want to switch your finger from the E to the D or from the D to the E, depending on how you have to go. So use those 4 beats to your advantage. Let's play the 2-note tango, number 4, on page number 5. Let's get our fingers on E, because that's our first note. Here we go. 1, 2, big breath, and play. Breathe and switch your fingers. Here's the D. Switch back to E. Big breath. Switch back for the D. Last note back to E. Big breath. How'd you do? Did you stay with me? I hope so. Let's keep moving on to our third note. On the trumpet, our third note is the note C. It's at the bottom of the staff with 1 ledger line through it. And so we are going to play that C on the trumpet with using no fingers down. That's what we call the open position, with no valves depressed. And we're going to play it for 4 beats. Count them in your head. Breathe deeply at the beginning so that you get enough air to carry all the way through those 4 beats. And then we're going to rest in between every note for 4 beats to re-inflate our lungs and get ready for the next note. Here we go. Instruments are up. Our fingers are not on any of the valves because we're playing C. And let's do 3 of them with a rest of 4 in between. Count in your head. Start with the tongue. 1, 2, ready. How do you sound? Do you sound big and full? Make sure you're getting enough air in so that you have enough air to come out. That's great. Let's use those 3 notes in a song. It's called the 3-note combo. It's on page number 6 and it's number 6. We're going to rest for 4 in between every note, and we're going to play every note for 4 beats. Count the 4 beats in your head and use the space in between the notes to look ahead for the next note so you're ready for it and your fingers know where to go. Remember, no cheeks, always the tongue to start and stop every note. And we're starting on C, which is no fingers down. So let's get that instrument up, feet flat on the floor, and here we go. This is the 3-note combo, number 6. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 3 down for D. Switch to E, 1 and 2. Back to B, take a big breath. And lift up all fingers for C, big breath. Now we're going to do the same thing with all the same notes, just we're going to put them in a different order. 4 beats each. Don't forget to count all those whole notes. Rest for 4 in between to take a great big breath and to look ahead at the next note. This one's called Third Time's the Charm. And we're going to start on this time with our E. First valve, second valve. Remember where that thumb lives in the crack. Keep that pinky up above the ring. And here we go. Third time's the charm on page 6. This is number 7. 1, 2, ready, play. Switch to 1 and 3 for D. Big breath. All fingers up for C. 1 and 3 down for D. And 1 and 2 for E. Why don't we do a duet together? I'm going to play a pitch, and then I want you to match my pitch. I'll play it for 4 beats, and then you can play it for 4 beats. This is also on page 6. It's number 8. It's called Match the Pitch. But don't just match my pitch. I want you to match my tone, my posture, my tonguing, which is called articulation, my cheeks, my air. Try and emulate everything that I do. All right, the first note that we're starting on is D. I'm going to play it for 4, and then you for 4. Then we'll move to E, and then you for E, back to D, and then you, and then I'll play C, and you'll finish up with the last note, which is C. Look ahead so you know what note is coming up. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. You. My turn. Did you match my pitch? Did you match my tone? Did you remember to count? Do you remember your cheeks? Remember your tongue? There's a lot to remember. Number 9 gets a little challenging because now all of those 4 beats of rest in between every note disappears, and we have to take a breath in between notes without a stop. And the way we do that is we do what I call a surprise breath or a catch breath. The way I like to think of it is if I'm walking down the hallway and someone sneaks up behind me and taps me on the shoulder and surprises me, I'm going to be startled and I'm going to go, and that's going to take a whole lot of air into my body so I can react. We want to do the same thing when we play our music. We want to take that catch breath and fill up our lungs as deeply as we can, but very, very fast. Also remember in number 9, because the space in between the notes reduces to no time at all, we want to use our time while we're playing the whole note to look ahead at the one that's coming up. Don't stare at the note you're playing. Look ahead to the next note while you're playing it, so in your brain you can think the counts, think the fingerings that are coming up, and you'll be ready for it. And we'll take that surprise catch breath. That's what that little comma or apostrophe is in between every note. That's our breath mark, and that reminds us that we need to breathe there. Here we go. We will do a breath of fresh air. Number 9 on page 6. We're starting with our fingers on E, 1 and 2. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. did you do? Did you remember to take that quick catch breath in between every note and look ahead as you were playing? Let's try that same process again. This is number 10, breathing easy. It's the same concept, a catch breath in between every note because we're not resting. But there's a trick in number 10, so be ready for it. The note we're starting on is C. No fingers down. Here we go. Number 10, breathing easy. 1, 2, ready, go. Did you notice the trick in the last note for number 10? We went from an E to a C without stopping at D in between. We skipped a note. If that caught you by surprise, this is a great opportunity to take your number 2 machine scoring pencil and go ahead and put a circle around that C, because that'll remind you next time you play it that there's something important you've got to notice about that note before you get there so it doesn't catch you by surprise. Always be looking ahead as you're playing. Don't look at the note you're playing while you're playing it. Start it, get it going, and then be prepared by taking a peek at the notes that are coming up. It's kind of like riding your bicycle. When you're riding your bike, you're not staring at the road underneath your pedals. You're looking at the road that's in front of you so you can see all the obstacles that are coming up before you get there. Don't be taken by surprise. Let's move on to number 11. There's a surprise in 11, so let's see if we can practice looking ahead as we play. We've got to take our quick catch breaths, and we're going to be using all 3 notes. So this is all the skills that we've been working on so far. Carry the notes for their full value. Don't puff the cheeks. Start every note with the tongue. Here we go. We're starting on E. So here we go. 3 easy does it. Number 11 on page 6. Let's play. 1, 2, ready, play. How was that? Did you do well? I want you to remember that you can go back and use this video as many times as you need. We're going to add another video down the road where we continue on with number 11 and add some notes and half notes and things like that. So there's more coming up, but make sure that you take the time to review this. And this is a great warm-up every time you pick up your instrument, because these long tone exercises really focus on the fundamentals of playing. Posture, breathing, embouchure, cheeks, fingering, listening to yourself as you play so you can produce a good, strong tone that carries all the way through its full value. All of those fundamentals are so important to review no matter how far you get in the book. Always come back to them. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you guys again soon. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.